Breaking news! Things are heating up behind the scenes for the Miami Dolphins. The buzz in the Miami Dolphins wide receivers room has gotten a lot more intense, and I'm here to tell you all about it. The preseason may still be a few months away, but one name is already starting to dominate the conversations among fans and insiders alike. This isn't just another coaching staff, folks. This could be the Dolphins' biggest trade in years. I have a few important points to make here with you. We all know the Dolphins are determined to make a Super Bowl run, and in order to make that happen, Mike McDaniel is going to need a top-notch roster. I can tell you that some of his decisions continue to raise eyebrows. But before I dive into what I'm hearing, make sure you've hit that like button, but only if you're a true Miami Dolphins fan. My heart bleeds teal and orange. Now let's get right to it. Andrew Armstrong. That's right, the 6'4" wide receiver from Arkansas who somehow, inexplicably, went undrafted. Andrew Armstrong, who led the SEC with 78 receptions and 1,140 receiving yards last year, is entering Dolphins camp with a chip on his shoulder. He's not your average undrafted free agent. In fact, most fans during the draft were begging Miami to select him in the 6th or 7th round. Instead, Greer picked Ollie Gordon-Quinners and Zeke Biggers, leaving Armstrong on the roster. When he went undrafted, it shocked not only fans but analysts and scouting networks as well. The numbers prove it. This guy is no fluke. He was the only wide receiver in college football in 2024 to earn a PFF grade of 80+ against both man and zone coverage. That's elite. And it gets crazier. Armstrong stands at 6 feet 4 inches and runs a 4.51 40-yard dash and has one of the lowest drop rates in all of college football. He's not just big. He's reliable, athletic, and consistent. His 8.56 relative athletic rating, RAS, proves he has the tools to be an NFL contributor today. Yet, he went undrafted. Why? Age and lack of special teams experience. Armstrong is already 25 years old and didn't play special teams in college. But let's be honest, those concerns pale when you look at what he brings to the table. His route tree at Arkansas focused heavily on intermediate routes, slants, curves, comebacks, and digs, where he thrived. His success rate on those routes has been excellent. 83.8% on slants, 84.4% on curves, 85% on digs, and 87.5% on digs. This guy isn't just surviving there. He's dominating the middle of the field. Combine that with a 62.1% contested reception rate and just 4 drops last season, and you start to see the bigger picture. He's fearless, strong at the catch point, and effective in tight spaces. Exactly the type of player Tua Tagovailoa or even Quinn Ewers could count on in crunch time. That could be a game changer for a Dolphins offense that has relied too heavily on undersized wideouts. Tyreek Hill, 5'10", Jalen Waddle, 6'10", and Malik Washington, 5'10", are all terrific, but they lack size. Even Nick Westbrook-Ikine, at 6'2", doesn't offer the catch radius that Armstrong does. The Dolphins have only 4 wide receivers locked up for the roster: Hill, Waddle, Washington, and Westbrook-Ikine. That 5th or possibly 6th spot is wide open, and Andrew Armstrong fits the bill perfectly. The team kept 5 wide receivers last year. If they go with 6 players this year, Armstrong should be locked in. If they go with 5, it will be tight, but he could still outperform the competition. That is, of course, if Greer doesn't mess up again. Historically, the Dolphins have had success with undrafted free agents. 23 have made the 53-man roster over the past decade. That's 2.3 UDFAs per year, and while most of that success has come from the secondary, Kader Kohou, Nick Needham, Storm Duck, Armstrong has the tools to buck that trend on offense. He has the production, athleticism, and film to make his case. When you look at his overall scouting profile, there aren't any glaring flaws other than his age and inexperience on special teams. That's not enough to justify going undrafted, which is why so many are calling this an absolute steal for Miami. And it's not just a hunch. Armstrong's combination of athleticism and production puts him in elite company. According to scouting charts, his mesh score falls into the let's pick it up right where we left off, because the race for those final wide receiver spots on the Dolphins' 53-man roster is going to be one of the most intriguing position battles of training camp. Andrew Armstrong isn't just fighting for a job. He's fighting to shake up the pecking order in a unit dominated by speed and flash. But make no mistake, Armstrong brings something the others don't: size, consistency, and a physical presence this team has sorely lacked on the outside. Now, let's talk about the current competition. Miami's wide receiver room beyond the top 4 is full of question marks. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are untouchable, obviously. Malik Washington is a 7th-round pick from last year who flashed potential and has value as a returner. Nick Westbrook-Akine was brought in during free agency and provides some size and veteran experience. That's your top 4. But behind them, wide open. Let's be real, none of the other names on the depth chart jump off the page. Guys like Braylon Sanders, Freddie Swain, and River Crocraft have floated on and off the roster, but they haven't done enough to lock in a long-term role. Then you've got Taj Washington, a rookie from USC, who was drafted in the 7th round of 2024. He's a quick slot type, but again, undersized and doesn't bring what Armstrong does. And that's exactly why this battle is more about roster construction than just raw talent. The Dolphins desperately need a bigger target, someone who can work the middle of the field, post up in red zone situations, and win in contested catch scenarios. Armstrong's ability to thrive in slants, curls, and digs makes him tailor-made for those tough third and medium plays or red zone fades. That's not something you trust a 5 feet 10 inches receiver to consistently do against NFL corners. Let's also not forget the quarterback situation. Tua is your guy, but in camp and the preseason, Armstrong will likely be catching passes from Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. If he flashes during those reps, and he should, considering his size advantage and reliable hands, it'll be hard for the coaching staff to ignore. Preseason games are the proving ground for guys like Armstrong. He doesn't need to catch bombs or break for 70-yard touchdowns. If he moves the chains, makes tough grabs over the middle, and shows he can play through contact, that's a win. Still, we need to address the elephant in the room, special teams. This is where Armstrong might hit a wall. As a UDFA, not having any special teams experience is a red flag. That's often the easiest path to making a roster when you're not a top draft pick. But here's the twist. What if Mike McDaniel sees Armstrong as a specialized piece? Someone you keep active on game day for certain packages. A red zone or third down specialist who doesn't need to be on every snap but can give you matchup advantages when it counts. That scenario isn't out of the question, especially if he impresses during joint practices and the preseason. And let's talk about the front office. We already know how fans feel about Chris Greer. The man's made some questionable decisions, and Armstrong slipping through the draft could be another example of him getting lucky rather than showing any real front office brilliance. Let's not give him too much credit. This isn't about Greer pulling off a masterstroke. It's about a talented player falling through the cracks and the Dolphins simply being in the right place at the right time. Now, I want to mention something that adds more weight to Armstrong's chances: Miami's track record with UDFAs. We're talking about a franchise that has given real opportunities to guys like Kader Kohut and Nick Needham, who not only made the team but became key contributors. That history matters. It proves that if Armstrong shows out in camp, this coaching staff won't hesitate to keep him, even without the draft capital behind his name. And frankly, he deserves that shot. You can see how his player profile fits perfectly with Miami's offensive needs. He doesn't have to be a burner. He doesn't have to juke 3 guys out of their cleats. He just has to catch the ball, something he's proven over and over again he can do at a high level. Whether it's in tight windows, off-schedule plays, or contested situations, Armstrong has the tools that translate. The buzz around him isn't just hype. The numbers, the tape, the fit, it's all there. It's just a matter of whether he gets the reps and the opportunity to prove it. If he does, don't be shocked if Andrew Armstrong becomes the next great Miami Dolphins UDFA success story. And if you're keeping score, I'm already calling it. He makes the 53-man roster. Before you go, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Smash that like button if you believe Armstrong deserves his shot, and drop a comment below with your prediction. How many UDFAs do you think make the Dolphins' final roster this year? We've got more Dolphins content coming your way, and you don't want to miss it. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop a video. Click the video on the screen right now to stay locked in with all things Dolphins, news, analysis, and bold takes all season long.